Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So tonight we're reading from Bhagavad-Gita. As it is, chapter 7, text number 14, which is on page 337. This verse has been, today's the third day of this same verse. Daivyesha gunamai mama maya duratmaya mamevaya prapajante mayam metan tarantite. This divine energy of mine, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome, but those who surrender unto me can easily cross beyond it. Omaragena Ramdasya Jana Jana Sakya Sakshu Mitam Jena Tasmei Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swaya Rupa Kadamayam Tanti Swapadantikam. Sri Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasudeva Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 follow this purport. Prabhupada organized purport. There's 3 sections, so I'll cover each one at a time. The purport says, the Supreme Personality Godhead has innumerable energies, and all these energies are divine. Although the living entities are part of his energies, are therefore divine. Due to contact with material energy, the original superior power is covered. Being thus covered by material energy, one cannot possibly overcome its influence. As previously stated, both the material and spiritual natures, being emanations from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are eternal. The living entity belongs to the eternal superior nature of the Lord, but due to contamination by the inferior nature, matter, their illusion is also eternal. The conditioned soul is therefore called Nitya Bhara, or eternally conditioned. No one can trace out the history of his becoming conditioned at a certain date in material history. Consequently, his release from the clutches of material nature is very difficult, even though that material nature is an inferior energy, because material energy is ultimately conducted by the Supreme Will, which the living entity cannot overcome. Inferior material nature is defined herein as divine nature due to its divine connection and movement by the divine will. Being conducted by the divine will, material nature, although inferior, acts so wonderfully in the construction and destruction of cosmic manifestation. The Vedas confirm this as follows: Mayam tu praktim vidyam mainam tu maheshwaram. Although Maya illusion is false or temporary, the background of Maya is the Supreme Magician, Supreme Personality Godhead, who is Maheshwara, the Supreme Controller. And you kindly turn off your cell phone. So Srila Prabhupada, anyway, there are 2 verses here, 13 and 14. Talks about the 3 modes of material nature, which are conducted by Krishna, and about surrender, 13 and 14. So 13 says, deluded by the three modes, goodness, passion, ignorance, the whole world does not know me, above the modes, and inexhaustible. This divine energy of mind, consisting of three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. So Prabhupada uses the word divine 5 times in this purport, and also in the verse. And divine means something that's godly, or something that's wonderful. So Prabhupada went to America single-handedly, with no money to speak of, no contacts to speak of, no place to stay, nothing. Only he went on the order of his Guru Maharaj. So when Prabhupada went to America, he finally got a place in New York, storefront, and Prabhupada would cook for the devotees, and he would even clean up after the devotees and wash the pots and plates. No one would help him in the beginning, but slowly the people that were coming would start to help him. So Prabhupada made different preparations, Indian style cooking, which no one knew except for Prabhupada, which he learned from his mother when he was a child. And Prabhupada was an expert cook. So he cooked for the devotees on a daily basis, and when they had the first wedding, he cooked a feast for the wedding. And Yamuna Devi assisted him. So Prabhupada invented 2 sweets. One was a gulab jamun, and the other was called simply wonderful. So this is a divine, means wonderful. So this sweet is easy to make, made from powdered milk. Now in India, in the sweet shops, they don't use powdered milk. When Prabhupada went to America, no one used powdered milk, most part. They used koa, which is milk, cooked down milk, to make all their sweets. So we don't know how Prabhupada knew how to make gulab jamuns with powdered milk, but he made this other sweet, and he taught it to the devotees. And it's easy to make. You take butter or ghee at room temperature, and you mix it with an equal amount of icing sugar, powdered sugar. And then you mix that with twice as much milk powder, and you roll into balls. So they made this sweet and gave it to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada tasted it, of course they offered it first, Prabhupada tasted it and said that this is simply wonderful. He said the devotees are also simply wonderful, and this Krishna consciousness is also simply wonderful. So that's what in this verse purport and in the verse he's saying the divine energy, and divine means wonderful or godly. So everything in Prabhupada's vision was wonderful in the creation of the Lord. So the Lord's energy is divine, and the jiva is also divine, but because the jiva is under the spell of the material energy, illusion, they have covered their divine nature. So there's the internal energy, which is the spiritual energy, and there's the external energy, which is the material energy, and there's the marginal energy, which is the living entity. And in this purport, it says that the marginal living entity, the jiva, has been bound up in the material world, Nichabara, since time immemorial, and no one can trace out the history when any one of us or any soul in this material world has come into the material world and become conditioned by the modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance. Now the question is how the jiva originated and how the jivas fell down from the spiritual world. That's always been some controversy. And that's not a subject matter for this class. But the thing is, Prabhupada says in chapter 13, verse 20, purport, it doesn't really matter how or why we came in this material world, but we should just simply understand that we're suffering in the material world, and we should want to get out. Like a person who's on a boat in the water, and the boat sinks. So the person is in the water drowning. He's not trying to understand how the boat sink, or how did it tip over, how did I fall into the water. Just wants to get saved. In the same way, in the conditioned state, we can't really understand how we came in this material world. In a liberated state, you'll understand all these things. But as long as we're conditioned by the modes of nature, we can't really understand these things, and nor with our tiny brain we shouldn't try to figure it out. We know the Bhagavad-Gita says that there's two natures, the spiritual nature and the material nature, and everybody in the spiritual nature is infallible, everyone in the material nature is fallible. That means in the spiritual nature, there is no birth and death, there's no disease, old age, there's no one is suffering in any way, and all the residents in the spiritual world are eternally situated there. And in the material world, it's just the opposite. In the spiritual world, everyone's Sat Chit Ananda, and in the material world, everyone's not Sat, not eternal, not Chit, and not Ananda. In other words, we're not eternal, we're not full of knowledge, and we're not blissful. At least unless you're a devotee. So, this is the difference between the two. In Bhagavad-Gita also, Krishna says that this material world is compared to a banyan tree with its roots upward and its branches down. And says no one can understand how this tree exists but by the weapon of determination, with the weapon of detachment. One should cut down that tree and then surrender unto the Supreme Personality Godhead, go back to the spiritual world. So those who are free from false prestige, false illusion, free from material contamination, free from lust, can attain that spiritual world. So it's not so easy to get free from the contamination of material world. Prabhupada said you had to be 100% pure to go back to Godhead. And devotees where he became engrossed. Then he said, okay, 90%. And then still they were unhappy. Then he said, it's 75%. So Prabhupada said he had the key to the back door and he could take us back to Godhead. And we just hold on to his devotee. So here it says that the material world is, the living entity is bound up by a rope, guna, three modes of material nature. One rope, they take three ropes and twine them together, and then they bind up the living entity. So even a strongest person can't get free from the binding of those ropes. No one can free himself from the ropes of the material nature. So the Lord's energy is divine, godly, wonderful, both as spiritual energy and material energy. But the modern scientists don't understand this, and they think that the Vedas and the Bhagavad-Gita and Srila Prabhupada's books are all mythology. And there's no controller, no one superior that's responsible for the creation of the material world. But we don't have any experience of anything in this material world that goes on automatically. Two examples. The electricity comes through the copper wire. It's not the wire that produces electricity, but it carries the electricity. And the electricity comes from the powerhouse. But the powerhouse is not running by itself. The powerhouse has to have an engineer who knows how to keep the power going. At least in most of the world, not in Vrindavan. The power keeps going off, but they haven't figured it out yet. By most of the world, the power never goes off because they have the technology to keep it going. But it's not going by itself. The powerhouse is not independent or not, doesn't have its own power. It has to have a living entity behind it. In the same way, a potter, one who makes pots, he has a wheel, he has a clay, he has so many tools to make pots, and the pots don't make themselves. The person behind it makes the pots. So in this way, the inferior energy is working very wonderfully. And this is by the Supreme Magician, who's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or Krishna. So Krishna is in his abode, Golok Vrindavan, and he expands into Balaram, Shankarshan, the quadruple Vyuha, the four Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Vasudeva, Shankarshan, and then the Vishnu planets are there, Vaikuntha Loka, many Vishnu expansions of the original Godhead, and then the causal ocean is there, which is the ocean which is between the material and spiritual worlds. So on that causal ocean, the expansion of Krishna, Karnadakshai Vishnu, is the original source of the material world. And then from Karnadakshai Vishnu comes Garbhodakshai Vishnu, who through his breathing millions of universes are created. And then from his navel a lotus flower grows, and Lord Brahma sits on that lotus flower and is given the responsibility of creating the material world and the all the different universes. One time Brahma went to see Lord Krishna in Dwarka, and people were always coming and going, so the doorman, and then the doorman said, ask Brahma, I'll have to go ask Krishna if he can see you. So the doorman went and said to Krishna, Lord Brahma has come. So Krishna asked the doorman to ask him which Brahma he is. So he went back to Brahma and he said, Krishna will see you now, but he wants to know which Brahma are you. So Brahma said, well, I'm the four-headed Kumara, the father of the four Kumaras. Then Lord Brahma went inside to see Krishna, paid his obeisances, and Krishna said, well, Lord Brahma, why have you come? Is there some disturbance from the demons? So Brahma said, before I answer your question, I wanted to know why you inquired, which Brahma am I? Is there more than one Brahma? Because he didn't know anything. He thought he was the only Brahma. So then immediately Krishna manifested all the different Brahmas in the universe. Some had 10 heads, some had 1,000 heads, some had 100,000 heads, some had 1,000,000 heads, some had 10 million heads. And they all paid their obeisances to Krishna. And then Brahma could understand that he wasn't the only Brahman. He felt like a rabbit in a herd of elephants. But he was the only one that could see all the other Brahmas. All the other Brahmas said they were there alone. And along with them came many manifestations of Lord Shiva and Lord Indra. So this is the divine energy of the Lord that not only on this planet and this universe, there's hundreds of millions of living entities and hundreds of millions of planets, but this whole material world has hundreds of millions of universes and planets. And they can't detect this, the material scientists. They're trying to do so many experiments, but Srila Vyasadeva, he did all the experiments, and Sukadeva Goswami, he spoke to Srimad Bhagavatam, to Maharaj Parikshit, and all the experiments have been done. If you just read the 5th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, it talks about the structure of the universe and how the material energy is working throughout the Bhagavatam. You don't need to spend so much, they spend so much time and money doing research, trying to find out and make guesses about how the material world is going on, and make theories. One man discovered something and he didn't know what to name it, so he named it the God particle. But it didn't have anything to do with God. Just gave it a name to make it attractive. So they're finding out different things and they're discovering different things, but then someone else is coming along and saying that's not correct, there's some other reason. And so they're always speculating about what is going on. The scientists will speak very intelligently, impress everyone. But the first thing they say is maybe, and we're not sure. So they say maybe there's life on other planets, but we're not sure. Maybe this, maybe that. So they can't really give a scientific explanation. It says, Janma karma tame divyam evam yoveti tattvaha Chadvadayam Punarjanma 1980 so Arjuna who knows me in truth knows everything. And Krishna is saying, Mameva, that everyone should surrender unto me, Krishna. If you want to know everything, then you have to surrender to Krishna. It's not possible by our material brain and by someone who is a sinful person bound up in the material modes of nature to understand how the creation came into being or how the creation is going on. But they pose themselves as scientists, as philosophers, as big men. When they make claim, they say there's no life on any other planet. But we're reading in the Bhagavatam about how the demons and the demigods were trying to get the nectar of immortality. So that didn't happen on this planet. That happened in heavenly planets. So there's so many stories in the Bhagavatam about how things are happening in the upper planetary system. There's 14 planetary systems, 7 up and 7 down. And there's living entities on every single planet. When Lord Chaitanya came 500 years ago, it says all the living entities from all the 14 planetary systems at one time or another came to see Lord Chaitanya. But they came in disguise as human beings. Or sometimes they came and their presence was felt, but no one could see them. So in this way, the devotees aren't fooled by the scientists who want to say there's no life on any other planet. They say they went to the moon, and it's just a barren desert. But Krishna says in the Bhagavad-Gita that I enter into all the planets by my energy to stay in orbit. I become the moon and supply the juice of life to all vegetables. So how can the juice of life come from a desert? When the Pachetas were in the water for 10,000 years, they came out of the water. They got the darshan of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva gave them some prayers to Lord Vishnu. They were self-realized souls. When they came out of the water, they saw that the whole earth was overburdened by trees because there wasn't a proper government. And then so with their mystic power, they started burning the trees all over the place. So Soma, the wind god, who was in charge of the vegetation, and came to the Chetas and petitioned them to stop this activity. He said the trees are living entities. We should not unnecessarily kill living entities. It says in Mahabharata, if you kill a tree, it's a sinful activity, especially in Vrindavan. So the atonement, if someone kills a tree, he should announce it publicly that I killed a tree and fast for 3 days. But they don't do that. The government doesn't know that. So they're planting trees here and there, but then they're putting in roads here and there and cutting down the trees here and there. So it's going on all the time. The building, making, breaking, it's always going on all over the world. In the cities, they're always making, breaking. Not knowing that the trees are living entities. The soul is there in the tree, the soul is there in all living entities. But the consciousness of a tree is not the same as that of a human being. Janadapi sinitena trurapi sisana manina mandana kirtanya sarari. It says that one should be more tolerant than a tree. Because a tree never protests. If someone picks its fruits, it don't protest. You have to stand in the heat, it don't protest. If someone cuts it down, it doesn't protest. Because its consciousness is so low, but the consciousness is there, but it's not developed. So in this way, the living entity is bound up in the material, by the material energy, which is divine and wonderful. And the whole material world is divine and wonderful. And it says, no one can trace out when we came in the material world, Nityabhara, eternally conditioned, and to get released from the clutches of material nature is very difficult. It says here, Daivesha Gunamayi, my energy is very difficult to overcome. But if one surrenders unto me, Krishna is pointing to himself, Mam Eva, unto me, one can easily cross beyond it. So, How to do that? We'll read the next paragraph. Another meaning of guna is rope. It is to be understood that the conditioned soul is tightly tied by the ropes of illusion. A man bound by the hands and feet cannot free himself. He must be helped by a person who is unbound. Therefore, only Lord Krishna or his bona fide representative, the spiritual master, can release the conditioned soul. Without the superior help, one cannot be free from the bondage of material nature. Devotional service or Krishna consciousness can help one gain such release. Krishna, being the Lord of the illusory energy, can order his insurmountable energy to release the conditioned soul. He orders this release out of his causeless mercy on the surrendered soul and out of his parental affection for the living entity, who was originally a beloved son of the Lord. Therefore, surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord is the only means to get free from the clutches of the stringent material nature. So this is the secret, that to get unbound, one must approach a spiritual master. But it says if one thinks the deity in the temple of the spiritual master, the deity to be made of stone or wood, or the spiritual master to be an ordinary man, then he's possessed of a hellish mentality. And if the spiritual master is an ordinary man, then he can't benefit you or anyone else. He can't benefit even himself. So the spiritual master must be able to deliver his disciples. So the time of initiation, Guru Krishna Prasade by Bhakti Lata Bij, the Guru takes the karma of his disciple and gives him the seed of devotional service. And everyone must promise to chant 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That is, we should try to chant without committing the 10 offenses, try to chant purely, and follow the 4 regulated principles: no meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex. Now, when Ajamil was attracted by a prostitute, he spent his whole life as a sinful man, having illicit sex. He had 10 children. And Prabhupada says that when people are having illicit sex, it's the cause of violence and so much disturbances in society. So there's mercy, truthfulness, these are ruined. Cleanliness is ruined by illicit sex. Meeting is ruined by mercy. There's no mercy. The people are slaughtering animals. There's no cleanliness if people are having illicit sex. There's no truthfulness if gambling is going on. And intoxication can't be austere. You can't get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and chant 16 rounds if you're taking intoxication. So this movement is meant to release the conditioned souls from the clutches of material energy, and so we must strictly follow these principles. And the Christians say we love Jesus, but they don't follow his instructions. And one person was, his name was Vasudev. He said to Lord Chaitanya that I want to take all the sins of all the people in the universe upon my head. But Lord Chaitanya said, you don't need to suffer all the sins for all the people in the universe so they get liberated. I can easily liberate them. He said, even if one universe was liberated, it'd be like a mustard seed in a bag of mustard seeds, was insignificant. So Lord Chaitanya or Krishna can easily liberate everyone in the universe. But in the next verse, it describes those people who don't want to surrender, who don't want to get out of the material world. So people are bound in the material world, but they don't know they're bound in the material world, and they don't know that there's anything better, anything except sense gratification. So that's why we're trying to educate the people by giving them the Bhagavad-Gita, giving them Prabhupada's books, so they can get educated and understand that there's no real happiness in this material world. It's a illusion that I can be happy. So by the grace, here it says, by the grace of a spiritual master, he can release the conditioned soul from the clutches of the material energy. One time Haridas Thakur was arrested by the Qazi because he was born in a Muslim family, but they thought he was acting like a Hindu. So they took him to jail, and when he went to jail, he saw all the other prisoners, and he said to them that all of you now stay where you're at. So they became morose. They said, oh, what do you mean? We have to stay in jail for the rest of our lives? No, Haridas Thakur said, no, I didn't mean that. Because they had the association of Haridas Thakur, they had become Krishna conscious. And therefore, Haridas Thakur told them that now you become Krishna conscious, you should stay Krishna conscious. You'll get released from this prison in a very short time, but you shouldn't go back to your old ways, sinful ways. You should take the path of Krishna consciousness seriously. In the same way, Jarasindha imprisoned 20,800 kings because they didn't respect him properly. And Krishna went there and killed Jarasindha and released all the kings from their imprisonment. And he told all the kings, now you have become Krishna conscious, now you go back to your kingdoms, but don't have illicit sex, don't have sex life just for pleasure, but only have sex to beget Krishna conscious children. So he also told them that they should stay Krishna conscious. So whether Krishna comes himself, liberates the soul, or his representative comes, this is the way we can get free from the illusory energy. But generally it's not possible to go directly to Krishna. There are the souls in the material world, some are Nityasthita, they come from the spiritual world to assist the Lord in his pastimes, and they're eternally liberated. Then there's the sadhana-sthita, those who perform sadhana bhakti, like we're doing, Vaidhi bhakti, and by perfecting their sadhana, they become, they get free from the contamination of the material world, and at the time of death, they're able to go back to Godhead. And then there's a kripa-siddha, those who are given, get released from the material energy by the mercy of the Lord, which this kripa-siddha is very rare. It's like a person goes to, gets a degree from a university without studying, going through the courses, an honorary degree. That's kripa-siddha. An example of that was Magrari the hunter. He met Narada Muni, and Narada Muni told him to stop your hunting business and just sit down and chant Hare Krishna, take one cloth, take your wife, live in a hut, chant Hare Krishna, and be happy. So he did that. He gave up his sinful ways, half killing animals, to be Krishna conscious by the mercy of Narada Muni. And also Jagai and Madai came after again. They were Jai Vijay, who had been cursed by the Kumaras to become Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, the first demons in the material world, and they came again as Jagai and Madai. So they were very sinful. And how sinful they were, Chitragupta, the scribe of Yamaraj asked his scribes, Chitragupta had 100,000 scribes. They asked them to write down the sins of Jagai and Madai. So after 1 month, they said, this is an impossible task. We can't do it. So can you imagine how sinful they were? They would burn people's houses, kill people, kill cows, rape women. They do everything possible. But somehow they avoid the law. They avoid the law, and they didn't commit Vaishnava aparad. So then they got the mercy of Lord Chaitanya by the mercy of Lord Nityananda. So this is Kripa Siddha. They got the mercy of the Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, and then they promised not to sin anymore. And so from being drunkards and being so terrible that no one could go near them, if anyone even got touched by their shadow, they had to take bath. So people couldn't go out at night alone. They had to go in groups of 10 to avoid Jagai and Madai. But after Lord Chaitanya delivered them, he made them promise not to commit sins anymore. And they started chanting 2 lakhs of the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, every day. So there's the example, Krishna Siddha, Nitya Siddha, and Sadhana Siddha. So in this way, we have to have a guru who is via media. We have to wear glasses to read because we can't see with our eyes. So the glasses work as a via media. And also, so the spiritual master, he's our via media. If you want to go see the president or the prime minister, you can't just walk in his office. First you have to go through the security and go through the secretary and go through all the different representatives. Then you can get in. So no one can go directly to Krishna. We have to go through his representative, who's the spiritual master. And if the spiritual master is an Uttama a topmost devotee, and he has the ability to deliver the fallen conditioned souls. So the last paragraph says, the word Mameva is also significant. Mameva means Krishna only, not Brahma or Shiva. Although Brahma and Shiva are greatly elevated and are almost on the level of Vishnu, it's not possible such incarnations of guna, rajagun, passion, tamagun, ignorance, to release the conditioned soul from the clutches of Maya. In other words, both Brahma and Shiva are also in the influence of Maya. Only Vishnu is the master of Maya. Therefore, he alone can give release to the conditioned soul. The Vedas, Svetasvatara Upanishad, confirms this in the verse, Tam eva viditva, or freedom is possible only by understanding Krishna. Even Lord Shiva affirms that liberation can be achieved only by the mercy of Lord Vishnu. Lord Shiva says, Mukta pradata sarvesham Vishnor eva na samshayaha. There is no doubt that Vishnu is the liver of liberation for everyone. So Krishna has 64 qualities. The living entity has 50 qualities. The pure living entity, described in nectar devotion. And then Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva have 5 more qualities. Then Lord Vishnu has 4 more qualities. And one of those qualities is that he delivers any demons that he kills, or anybody that is killed by Lord Vishnu can attain liberation. And Krishna also has that quality. So Shiva and Brahma don't have that quality. But, of course, when Krishna was in Vrindavan, he killed so many demons, but it wasn't Krishna, it was Krishna's energy, the Vasudeva Krishna, kill those demons, and they got liberated. Even Putana, who came to Krishna when he was a baby, before he could even see properly, and she wanted to poison Krishna and kill Krishna. But because she offered her breast milk, she came in the disguise of a beautiful woman. She was so beautiful, and no one could recognize her as a demoness, that all the men were even attracted to her. So she freely came into the house of Mother Yasoda and picked up baby Krishna, put him on her lap, and tried to poison him by giving Krishna her breast milk. But Krishna, being omniscient, Supreme Personality, Godhead, playing the role of an ordinary living entity, immediately sucked her breast milk and sucked out her life. And Putana, then Krishna, sometimes it says that Krishna threw her into the forest. In the Krishna book, she ran out of the house and died in the forest because her body was, she had assumed the form of a beautiful woman, but her Rakshasi body was 12 miles long. If she had died in the house, she would have broken all the houses in Vrindavan. So Putana got the liberation from Krishna by being killed by Krishna to get the position of Krishna's mother. So this special mercy of Krishna or Krishna's energy. But generally demons don't get the same benefit the devotees get. Demons are thinking of Krishna. Kamsa was always thinking of Krishna. Shishupal was always thinking of Krishna, but not in a favorable way. So when they got killed by Krishna, they get Sayuja Mukti. Generally they emerge into the Brahman effulgence, which is not desired. It's a type of liberation, but it's not a type of desire. The devotees don't desire that type of liberation because it's only temporary. You can again come back in the material world because they are mukti maninas. Their intelligence is spoiled and they haven't taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. So they're not satisfied in that condition, being merged into the Brahman effulgence. So they come back in the material world and open hospitals and schools and do philanthropic activities. So in this way, only Krishna or Vishnu can release the living entity from the bondage of the material world. And what is necessary is the devotee must be fully surrendered. So there's 6 ways, 6 processes, 6 ways or systems: surrender, to accept everything favorable, reject everything unfavorable, to know that Krishna is the protector, Krishna is the provider, to expect Krishna's mercy, and to feel oneself meek and humble. So this is a surrendered soul, especially that it's called dayam. Danyam, or humility. A devotee must develop this humility, or feel oneself meek and humble, and be free from false prestige in order to attain Krishna, attain prema bhakti. And the best example of surrender, 9 processes of surrender, beginning with Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, is Bali Maharaj. Lord Vamadev came to Bali Maharaj and requested 3 steps of land. Bali Maharaj said, well, I'm the king of the demons, I have so much, whole world, universe, whole world is mine, so it's not very intelligent, you're only asking for 3 steps of land. But Sukacharya was his spiritual master, Bali Maharaj. He said, this is Lord Vishnu, don't give him anything. If you give him anything, then he'll take everything and then I won't get my maintenance. So you can refuse to give him anything. Even though you promise, you can break your promise because to save me. But he was materialistically inclined, so Bali Maharaj rejected his spiritual master and gave Vamadev his promise, 3 steps of land. So he went from the king of the demons to a penniless beggar. But he showed the example of full surrender. that he gave up everything for the sake of Krishna. So there are many other examples in the Bhagavatam of people who are become fully surrendered. And this is what when we take the Krishna consciousness, we're trying to surrender to Krishna and once you have no other interest but to serve Krishna, serve the spiritual master, serve this movement, so that somehow or other we can get free from the influence of the three modes of material nature. So no one but Krishna can free the living entity. When King Muchakunda was fighting with the demons for a very long time, he became tired, so the demigods said, you could ask for any benediction you want, but don't ask for liberation, because we cannot give that. So the demigods cannot give liberation. So the people who are less intelligent, Vimukti Maninas, whose intelligence is spoiled, they worship the demigods, but the fruits are temporary and limited. Krishna will explain this in the Bhagavad-Gita in this chapter and 10th chapter, how worshiping the demigods is not a permanent situation. It's only temporary to get some material pleasures, but it doesn't release one from the material world. So many more things we can say about this verse, but the main thing is that the Lord's energy is divine, the Jiva is divine, that Krishna consciousness is divine or wonderful, and we should stay in Krishna consciousness. Even though material energy is very strong, that material energy can sweep anyone away at any moment. Prabhupada said the problem with his Western disciples was they're not afraid enough of Maya. We saw that it happen. Many devotees who were serious devotees who wanted to help spread Krishna consciousness, unfortunately, they weren't careful about their sadhana. They weren't careful about committing offenses or whatever problems that they created, and they end up giving up Krishna consciousness. So the Guru can come from the Kanista platform, from the Madhyam platform, Uttama platform, topmost devotee, but the Kanista Guru may not be able to give proper instruction. So there's three kinds of gurus. There's the Brahma Padaksha Guru, the Guru that shows the way. When Dhruva Maharaj was insulted by his father and not allowed to sit on his throne, he went to his mother crying. He said, how can I avenge the actions of my father and my stepmother? So she told him that you have to go to the forest and find Lord Vishnu. So she showed him the way. She was his original guru. And then he met Narada Muni, who became his Diksha Guru. So this way, because Dhruva Maharaj became a liberated soul, when he was going back to Godhead, he also was thinking of his poor mother. How can I go back to Godhead without my mother? So the Vishnu Dutas understood his mind, and they showed him his mother going back to Godhead at the same time. So the Guru may not deliver the disciple, but the disciple can deliver the Guru. So even if the Guru is on a lower level, he should not be rejected unless he's not following properly, if he deviates from the process. If the Guru is following the orders of his spiritual master and making plans how to spread Krishna consciousness, probably he's the topmost devotee. So he should be accepted, and no one should reject their Guru. But if you're not feeling your Guru can give you sufficient guidance, you can go to someone else and take Shiksha or take instructions, and a Shiksha Guru can also take you back to Godhead. So in either way, we should know that it is necessary to take Shiksha, take Diksha from someone, and to be in the disciplic succession, so that we can be rightly situated and get a chance to get released from the material energy. So here in Vrindavan, especially, anyone who dies in Vrindavan, any living entity that dies in Vrindavan, will go back to Godhead. But if a person is sinful in Vrindavan, then he'll have to take a lower birth as a monkey or a dog or a hog for a short time, get free from his sins, then he can go back to Godhead. So I want to be careful. Prabhupada's caution, we should be careful not to commit offenses and sinful activities in Vrindavan. So if someone's lusty and greedy, shouldn't stay in Vrindavan more than 3 days. Should get out of Vrindavan and stop committing offenses in the holy Dham. So we don't want to take an animal birth. If you want to live in the Dham, then you should be serious about Krishna consciousness. Someone may be living in Vrindavan and not following the instructions of his spiritual master, not chanting 16 rounds, and following the 4 regulated principles, then even if he's living in Vrindavan, he's not getting the benefit of living in Vrindavan. Vrindavan is meant for bhajan, meant for developing our Krishna consciousness, for developing our love for Krishna, and becoming a Raganuga Bhakti, or following in the footsteps of the residents of Vrindavan. This should be our goal, the aim of our Krishna conscious practice. If you're not doing that, then we're not actually living in Vrindavan. We're not getting the benefit of living in Vrindavan. Because Vrindavan is so cool and in the material world, and it's a direct replica of Golok in the spiritual world. So if you read Bhagavad-Gita, a person named Gopkumar, he got the mercy of his guru and attained Goloka. And it's explained there all the details of the different realms and how he attained perfection. So this is what is required, that once surrendered to a guru, and the material energy is very strong, so we should always be careful not to, again, we came to Krishna consciousness because we didn't like being in the material world, so we shouldn't try again to go. We should repent. Ajamil chanted the name of Narayan and was saved at the time of death, so he repented his activities. And Prabhupada writes, we should always be mindful and repentful of what we did before we were devotee and not want to go and become like that. So try our best to stay in Krishna consciousness and pray all the time that we can keep ourselves in Krishna consciousness and not have to suffer again in the material world. Anybody have any comments or questions? There's 4 qualities. It's a nectar devotion. I can't remember right now. You have to look in nectar devotion. There's 50 qualities. Living has 50 qualities. The demigods have 5 more qualities. The Lord Vishnu has 4 more qualities. One of those qualities is he gives liberation to the demons he kills. Other 4 qualities I don't remember. But Krishna has 4 qualities that no one else has. And he has his loving devotees, he has his pastimes, he has his form, and one other, his abode. Huh? His flute, he plays his flute. So Krishna has 4 qualities. I don't remember. Does anybody else remember? Demigods, what the Vishnu forms have 4 other qualities. They create the universe, or I don't remember. I didn't read it carefully, but I just read that one quality that they can give liberation to anyone they kill, the demons they kill. Anybody else? All right, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Antarada Bhagavad-Gita ki jai.